Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. This is your number one stop for natural training and nutrition information, and I am committed to bringing you the information that you need in order for you to transform your body by burning fat and building muscle. Okay? And today, what I want to do is talk to you about building bigger biceps. Everybody wants bigger biceps. Everybody wants stronger biceps, stronger arms, bigger arms, and so the bicep is a big part of that. And I'm going to give you some tips and tricks that I've learned over the years in order to help you accomplish that goal. Now, every time that I walk into the gym, I see people training the wrong way, and it's amazing. You know, they haven't switched their training. They've been there for years. You know, and it hasn't been 2 weeks. No, they've trained for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and they haven't grown. They haven't burned any fat. They haven't built any muscle. Their arms aren't any bigger. Personally, I would just give up, you know, but these people are determined to just keep on being insane and repeating themselves and not doing anything different. So I'm hopefully going to help save you a couple of years and give you the tips and tricks that you need to build your biceps bigger. Now, this is about biceps. However, you could utilize these tips for other body parts. For instance, your chest, your shoulders, your calves. A lot of the principles that I'm going to be discussing with you today can be used for many other body parts, and you're going to get great results. So please keep that in mind. This is particularly about biceps. So what's going to happen during this video is I'm going to show you a clip of myself training, and so you can get a live video of what it looks like to train your bicep properly. In the video, I am on a cable pull where I'm doing bicep contractions, and you can get a good idea of exactly what to do, and then I'm going to go over some steps. So before I do that, I'd like to tell you a couple of things that you want to pay attention to. Number one, you want to be warmed up before you train, and if we can just back up a little bit from that, okay? So before I go to the gym, I like to get a bottle of water, and then I put Himalayan salt with iodized salt, and I also put cream of tartar. And that cream of tartar has 496 milligrams of potassium per teaspoon, so I put a teaspoon of that in, and I put a little bit of salt in, and sodium and potassium, those are the two things that are going to help you from cramping up. It's going to give you fuel for your muscles while you're training. So I really like to have that drink before I train calves, and before I train biceps, and before I train my forearms. And I pretty much do it whenever I train, but I make sure that I have it for my biceps and I have it for my calves. Those are the muscle groups for me that tend to cramp up the most. So I would definitely recommend that you do that and that you sip on it throughout your workout. So once you have that drink ready to go, and by the way, it's very inexpensive. You can get those things at the grocery store for pennies. I mean, you know, just a couple of bucks. But once you have that, you want to make sure that you're warmed up. You always want to make sure that you're warmed up. And the bicep is it's a pretty easy muscle to pull. So you definitely want to make sure you've got some good blood flow going there. I always take the rubber band and I just go like this, you know, maybe 10 or 15 reps. I start warming up like this, you know, just to get the joints going, just to get some blood flow to the bicep. You know, I don't see anybody else do it in the gym, and you know, I don't really see a lot of guys that have my caliber of physique either, so take that for what it's worth. But what I like to do is I like to warm up my joints with the bands, and then I like to do a couple of just quick sets, nothing too crazy, lightweight, just to get the pump, just to get the flow, okay? Just to make sure that my biceps are completely warmed up. And then you hit them really hard. So you hit them really hard with some heavy weight, and then you drop set. So you're going to see that on the next video where I'm training the bicep, and I'm going to give you a couple more tips after the video's over, and we'll go from there. All right. All right, at this point, guys, I'm all warmed up, and I'm just going to do a couple of reps, moderate weight, to really just make sure that my biceps are completely warmed up. I've already spent a couple of sets, light sets, just making sure that I can get a decent pump. And now we're going to go to the heavy weight. am putting the pin in the very bottom, so I'm using the whole stack at this point, and we're going to do some heavy weight. And at this point, I'm exerting a lot of force. As you can see, I'm cheating. I'm just trying to get a massive contraction, trying to recruit as much muscle as I possibly can, as many muscle fibers as I possibly can. And this is the first drop in weight. So at this point, I'm probably taking about 40% off, maybe 30% of the load off. And you can see that it's a lot easier for me to get the weight up, and my form is a lot better, okay? So we have the concentric phase, and then we have the negative, and I'm going slow on the way down. You're gonna recruit a lot more muscle fibers as you go down on the eccentric phase as opposed to the concentric phase. And I do like to pause just here and there at the top and the bottom just a little bit, and that's gonna be your isometric phase. So you really wanna be training all three of those if you possibly can. But my main focus here with the bicep is the blood force trauma, forcing as much blood into that bicep as I possibly can. And as you can see, I've dropped again in weight, the drop set, and we're just continuing to pump. And at this point, guys, I'm in excruciating pain. The biceps are just burning, they're screaming, and you have to train past the pain every single workout. So you have to supply sufficient stimulation to the muscle, and then recovery. And the stimulation comes in the form of pain. So I'm always saying it. You've heard it before. No pain, no gain. And so that's how you do it. You just pump, get that massive contraction, get the stretch, a controlled negative, okay? Controlled negative, very, very important. And as you can see, my veins on my biceps are just absolutely bulging. The biceps are just full of blood, and I go by feel. So at this point, I need a little bit more. I can feel them. They're ready. They've recovered, and boom. Continue pumping, and just massive contraction, slow on the negative, okay? And here I am just forcing more blood. And again, this is excruciating, very, very painful. You want to make sure you're training past the pain threshold every time you train, and really push your body to as far as you can, as far as the pain with that blood force trauma. And here's just a little flex so that you can see again the work that I just put in. All right. So all the beasts are still with me because they're willing to train past the pain. And if you haven't noticed, I've got a red mark on my head. That was this morning. I trained biceps, calves, and abs this afternoon. This morning I trained my quads with some heavy box squats, and just was having a hard time getting motivated. So sometimes I'll just smash the bar with my head to try to get my adrenaline going, get my testosterone going. So those 405 box squats are not quite as difficult when you're feeling a little bit lethargic. So anyways, about the biceps, let's go over a couple of tips. So you guys saw the video, we did the voiceover, and I hope you got a good idea of what it looks like to train your biceps. Now, a lot of guys, they train their biceps, okay, 10 to 15 reps, rest for 3 minutes or a minute and a half or whatever. If you notice the length of the video, I'm training my biceps for almost 3 minutes straight, okay? First off, you want to train very intensely, okay? Whenever you train, you want to train as intensely as possible. Push past the pain threshold. Now, there's a big difference between joint pain and muscle pain. You should be able to figure out the difference, okay? Now, again, you want to warm up. You do your heavy set, and once you're warmed up, you do your heavy set. Recruit as much muscle as possible, and then drop, and just blood force trauma. Now, as far as training the bicep goes, you want to make sure you're getting that good stretch, like that 4 or 5 second negative, and then a massive contraction, and you just keep on going and keep on going and keep on going. So what you want your muscles to do is when they recover, okay, that's the stimulation, but when they recover, you want them to adapt to the new stimulation of that progressive overload. So every time that you're working out, you're either doing more reps or you're doing a little bit more weight, and you just stair step, and you just go more and more and more, and that's how you build bigger muscles. So it's the stimulation and repair, we talked about that. Now, as far as volume training your arms, keep in mind that you're going to be training your arms, your biceps, many times during the week with your different exercises, your rows, your pull-ups, even stabilization with your bench press and your push-ups, okay? Even a little bit on your squat, just holding that bar. So you are going to be training it, and you don't need a ton of volume during the day that you train your bicep, okay? 3 to 6 sets is really all you're gonna need. I think I only did about 4 sets that day, but I'm training my biceps pretty much 3 times a week, and that's where you're gonna grow. The bicep is a pretty small muscle group. It doesn't need to be blasted to smithereens. You don't have to waste 40 minutes on it in the gym. 10 minutes probably sufficient. The 3 to 6 sets. And the volume is going to come in the form of frequency, okay? So frequency being 3 times a week, and you really do want to concentrate when you're training your back, you're training your rows. You want to be concentrating on your back, so that you have the energy for your biceps. And you really want to be thinking about the muscle group. You want to be thinking about that contraction. I like to close my eyes sometimes and really focus. And you got to think positive. You got to think about the muscle growing. You got to think about it stretching and just getting bigger and stronger. And you got to envision the bicep that you want to build, and that goes for your entire body. So you're always thinking positive. You're always feeding your muscle group energy, and you're going by feel. A lot of guys don't understand that. They think they're just lifting weight. No, it's not lifting weight. It is blood force trauma. It is pumping iron. It is stretching. It is contracting. It is concentric, eccentric, which is the negative, okay, and then the isometric, which is a hold. And you want to have your muscles burning. You want to have them under tension the entire time you're training. If it feels easy, if your muscles are not in pain, okay, not joint pain, but if your muscles are not in pain, you're not supplying yourself with enough stimulation to get results. It's just there's no other way about it. You have to train past the pain every single workout, no matter what you're training. If you're not in pain, you're not gonna grow. You've already adapted to that step. You know what they say, no pain, no gain. So guys, I hope that that helps you. If these tips are helpful to you, and you appreciate the content that I'm bringing, and you're seeing progress by this, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Please like the video, and share it with some friends that need some tips and advice, and good advice as well. And remember, this is your #1 stop for natural training, information, and nutrition. And I'm committed to helping you guys transform your body by building muscle and burning fat. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your time, and I'll see you on the next video.